Good morning, everybody. Is it morning for everybody? Should I say that? It's morning for me. Well, welcome back to my channel in any time of day or night. I am here to review and recap my Big Fat Fabulous Life, episode 8, entitled Big Fat Disappointment. This was a good episode. Mainly because we finally got our full Chase and Whitney meetup, but also we touched on all the sort of storylines, the IVF, the training certification, what's going on with the Frenchman, and I wonder how many episodes we have left because I feel like some of these storylines are kind of being wrapped up. I mean, depending on how many episodes we get. So let's start first with Whitney's certification. So Whitney and Jessica are recording a workout, and at the end, Whitney actually announces, hey, guess what, everybody? Be on the lookout for our No BS Active new app. There's going to be a backlog of, workout videos. So I guess it's a done deal. And she went to the meeting. She liked what she heard. And sorry, Ashley, looks like you're out of a job. But on the other hand, congratulations. That's really exciting. She said after a lot of thought and consideration, it was just, she just felt good about it, and it's sort of the next step in progression in the No BS, empire, if you will. So good. Later on, Whitney and Jessica go inside to have some lunch. Jessica asks Whitney how her studying for the certification is going because if you recall, Jessica's dad, who owns the gym, gave Whitney a hard deadline to take the test to get certified. Jessica decides to sort of quiz Whitney on a few questions that might be on the test. And I mean, she only asked 2 questions, but they were very sort of number math related, which I'm bad at math. And it was sort of like how do you determine somebody's, fat mass with their age? I don't even know. Like I didn't write it down. I mean, like I said, I'm not good at math, and apparently neither is Whitney because she's kind of stumped on these questions or can't really recall what the equation would be. And Jessica's thinking they might be in a little bit of trouble. So later on, Whitney still does go to take the test. When she's done, she heads over to the gym to meet up with Jessica. She really bypasses Will, like, hey, hi, bye. Gets to Jessica. Jessica asks her how the test went, how'd it go, and Whitney confesses that she panicked, she freaked out, and left like after answering 6 questions because she said, if I heard right, she didn't want to like waste the opportunity. I don't know, is it like you only get 3 chances to take the test, and if you fail, that's it, you can't do it anymore? Because wouldn't walking out count as like a fail, or is it like a disqualification and doesn't count? I'm not sure. If you know, let me know. Jessica is confused. She doesn't understand why Whitney wouldn't just try. You're already there. You're at the desk. You got it in front of you. I mean, at least see what you do. I mean, if it's horrible, then you know maybe what to work on and what to focus on. So Whitney tells Jessica that she doesn't want to tell Will. Like, she doesn't want to let him down. She doesn't want to disappoint him. They already have this sort of, he kind of already sees her a little bit sometimes as a quitter, and she doesn't want him to know. I don't know that Jessica necessarily agrees to not tell him, but she kind of reluctantly, I think, is like, well, if he doesn't ask, I won't say anything. So when Will walks over to them like, hey, girls, what are you up to? You working out? And Whitney tells him, oh, no, we're just here to catch up. We haven't seen each other. And Will, because remember, he gave her the hard date, I'm sure remembers and asks, like, hey, isn't this the weekend you're supposed to take your test? And can you believe Whitney flat out, bald-faced lies and says, no, this isn't the weekend. I'm supposed to take it in 2 weeks. Like on TV, just lies. I couldn't believe it. Jessica's just kind of trying to not make eye contact with her dad because, I mean, yeah, you're lying. And he looks at her and she tells him, like, I'm sorry, I can't even keep a straight face. So I guess she's not as good a liar as Whitney is. And so Whitney then confesses to Will, like, okay, just kidding. It was today, but I didn't finish it. I walked out. I panicked. And he is, like Jessica, confused as to why she wouldn't just try, but also not totally surprised because, he knows Whitney will put things off, make excuses, and she does. She's sitting there telling him, and she had also shared, in her confessional that, she has a lot on her plate right now. She's got the studying for this certification. She's in the midst of this IVF. I guess the Frenchman is kind of distracting. I mean, that seems to really be what's on her plate, but she's telling Will, I'm in the middle of like egg retrieval, and he looks at her and like, egg retrieval, like, what, is it Easter time? And she goes, no, like, I'm doing IVF. Like, can't you tell like how bloated and swollen I am? And, that's about to happen. And that's really like, kind of taking a lot of my time and this No BS Active app and excuses. Did you guys ever watch Fools Rush In with Matthew Perry and Salma Hayek? She's giving excuses like, I want to take it again. I'm still, because he's concerned, as is Jessica, like how devoted, how committed is she really to becoming a trainer? Which makes me wonder, like, is she really wanting to be a trainer? Is this, because if this is your career, I mean, you have a lot on your plate, but that's just life. It would be nice if you were like 18 years old and in college and could just focus on one thing. But yeah, you have other careers and relationships and things you have to balance. And I would say that, her career is being a reality show star, and so I don't know how devoted she is. So anyway, she tells him, like, I want to take it again, but I have this trip coming up with my family and I'm about to do IVF. And once that's done, I'm sort of going to be out of commission for a few weeks because it's a little invasive. And he's like, okay, fine. Like, I've heard enough. Got it. All right. So he kindly extends the deadline and says, okay, go take your trip with your family, finish up your IVF and we'll set another date so you can take the test. But like, this is it. Like, if you're serious, you really need to be serious. And I guess my question is, how serious does she really want to be a trainer, or, take it with a grain of salt? Like I said, I think her career is being a reality show star. So she's got to come up with storylines and story arcs. And how about, I want to be a personal trainer storyline? So, I mean, IVF is very important. I don't think that's something she should backburn. But I mean, what else does she have going on? Like, No BS Active, okay. And like I said, in life as an adult, when you're 37, you got to learn how to juggle some things and balance it out. And so anyway, that's that. I guess we'll see if she ends up taking a test. Like I was saying earlier, like, wonder how many episodes, because I kind of felt like, are we going to get to her actually taking the test and getting certified, or are we going to drag that out till next season? I don't know. Anyway, let's move on. All right, let's talk about Whitney's IBF. She has indeed made the appointment. Buddy's gonna take her, so he shows up early to pick her up. She mentions that, although they don't see each other that often, because he lives further away now, she knows she can always count on him when she really needs him for really important stuff, such as a day like this. So he's driving her over to the appointment, and she shares with him that she is not getting any anesthesia, not even local anesthesia, which local is like when you're still awake, but you're like numb and you don't feel it, right? Well, she's getting nothing. Apparently she's never had anesthesia for anything ever in life, any procedure, anything she's ever had done. She is fully awake and alert and can feel it all. Apparently she had a colonoscopy not too long ago and felt it all. Buddy kind of shakes his head and is just like, I don't understand what the big deal is. Like, put yourself to sleep, wake up, it's done. I don't know if it has something to do with, are you more high risk if you're overweight? I don't know why I think that could be concerning. Maybe not. Let her tell it. She says because she's just kind of a bit of a control freak, and if she's asleep, she can't control what's going on. I mean, you can't control anyway. The doctor's going to do what he does, but she just wants to be alert and aware and know what's going on. So that's fine. You want to do that, go for it. The thing is, though, I guess her right ovary is a little harder to get to, which means it'll be more painful. So much so that the doctor's hesitant to even, knowing that she doesn't have any anesthesia, he doesn't really want to go there because it's going to be that painful, which then cuts like the number of eggs that can be retrieved. And as it is, this isn't 100%. Like, even if he gets, even if she was, under, anesthesia and he got them all, you still have to like freeze them and then they have to be fertilized, and then nothing's 100%. So you at least want to increase your chances as much as you can and retrieve as many eggs as you can. So she gets to the doctor's office and the doctor asks, like, you sure you don't want anything? And she says, yes, she's sure. So he says, okay, lay back, relax, Obviously, Whitney has a very high tolerance for pain. Because at first, you wouldn't know. She seems a little discomfort. But as the procedure's going on, you can tell it's more painful. She's wincing. She's kind of yelling out. She's gritting her teeth. She's bearing down. Like, I can't imagine, She had told Will, if I forgot to mention, she's going to go in to get this IVF and they're going to get this long needle and stick it in her vagina. And he's like, that's when he was like, okay, got it. I don't need to hear anymore. So yeah, this is obviously very invasive. But she's a trooper. She gets through it. I mean, hats off to you. Couldn't be me. But as this is going on, because she's experiencing like physical pain to get this done, she's just hoping that it works, that this isn't all for naught. The shots and the nausea, the throwing up, the swelling, the pain to get them retrieved. Like, she really wants this to work. She's really trying to be proactive about her future and, trying to like set things up so whenever she meets the person, whether it's the Frenchman or somebody else, like, she has those options there. This is obviously a real storyline. She's really getting this done. It costs a lot of money, and she's letting cameras record it. So in this regard, in this storyline, I can appreciate that she's sharing this journey. I mean, I am somebody who doesn't want kids personally, so this isn't something I would ever do, but there are certainly plenty of women out there, who might need, to use the IVF to get pregnant. So I mean, this is real life. This is what it's like. It's expensive. It's uncomfortable. It's a long road. So I appreciate that she's willing to share like a real, actual, for real thing going on that people can relate to. So they got the eggs out, and like I said, I feel like that storyline's kind of wrapped up because I don't think she's ready to be a mom with anybody in particular. So we'll see if we hear anything more about that. But I wish her well, and I hope that this works for her in the future when she's ready. All right, let's talk about Whitney and Chase's meetup, because I feel like it'll put into context better the conversation she has with the Frenchman later. So this is really where the episode opened. It picked up from where it ended last week. Whitney and Chase are at a brewery. They're gonna catch up. He's having a drink, she's having water. And she asks him how his family's doing, and he says, oh, they're all doing well, they're all good. As a matter of fact, his sister just got engaged. And Whitney says, oh, it's great, congratulations to her. And then Chase, in the sort of offhanded, sort of throwaway, like, and catch it if you can, tells her, yeah, and her fiance I feel like he really stole my thunder, because just 3 days before, like, I had proposed. Like, that's how we want to drop the bomb, that you're engaged, just sort of like in this sort of flippant, offhanded, like, oh yeah, and by the way, I'm engaged. Like it's not a huge, because this is the thing. I got the sense from Chase himself that one of the main reasons he wanted to do this meetup is because he had big news to share with Whitney that he's just been dying to put on social media, but he doesn't want to do that until he talks to her first, sort of, so she doesn't find out the big news from like social media. So why he didn't sit down with her and tell her at maybe this juncture of the conversation, by the way, I really brought you here because I want to let you know before you hear it from anybody else, me and Sarah, that's the fiance's name, me and Sarah are engaged. Like, wouldn't that make more, or is it just me? I just thought it was so strange of how he just was like, oh yeah, and I'm engaged. Like, and she even sort of like, hold on, wait, did you say you're engaged? Like, so you're officially engaged? He's like, yeah, like I'm engaged, kind of crazy. And she asks him like for the details, like, okay, well, how did it happen? Where were you? How did it go down? And I'm just like, this is so odd. I guess it's odd if this were a real relationship, if they were really in love, they were really engaged, he really cheated on her. I don't think in real life, if I were Whitney, I could do this, because I don't think somebody that I was in love with, that I actually even agreed to marry because I was so in love with and couldn't imagine my life without them, that just a year later I would be so over it that I could sit here and listen to you talk about getting engaged to the woman you cheated on me with. Like, but, if this is totally normal and fine, if we, realize and take it for what it is, theirs was a reality show relationship. And this is, yeah, damage control, because if he had just put it up on social media, guess what, I'm engaged, he might have gotten a little bit of backlash, like, does Whitney know? Did you tell Whitney? So before he does that, he wants to get her blessing, and she is fully giving it. He tells her, we were vacationing in Jamaica, and we were at this beautiful waterfall, and I told her to turn around so I could take a picture. And when she turned around, I was on my knee, and Whitney's like, oh, this sounds oddly familiar. And she tells him, like, oh, so you proposed to her the same way you proposed to me on the Eiffel Tower? And he tells her, no, like, not at all. And sort of jogs his memory, like, no, remember we were on the top of the Eiffel Tower and you had me turn around, and then when I turned around, you were on your knee. And now he's thinking about it and is like, oh yeah, I guess you have a point. It is kind of similar. What can I say? I'm a one-trick pony. All right, you know. So she's happy for him, you know, and he's telling her, I'm so glad that we can be friends and we can be cool and this is all cool. Well, yeah, this isn't strange and it's all cool because it wasn't real. Because if it was real, and I don't mean to keep harping on this, but it's just like, I just couldn't really, for real. Okay, anyway. So he in turn asks her, you know, like, well, what about you? Like, how's your love life? How are things going? And I mean, I know I just, you know, ragged on Whitney for lying to Will, but in this instance, if I were her, I would have said, I'm great. I'm in love. I got a new boyfriend. He's French. And yeah, it's going great. Like, because I'm very prideful and I save face. Like, I'm not about to sit here and let you know, like, I'm really down and he's playing me out and he doesn't know what he wants. Like, I'd be like, oh yeah, baby, I'm all good. But no, but I guess it makes sense that she would share with him what's going on because it kind of relates to Chase a little bit. She tells him, well, it's complicated. I met this guy on an app. He lives in France. And so Chase asks her, like, so you haven't met him? Like, you've actually never had like a meeting with him? And she's, no, not in person officially, but we FaceTime and he's really great, but we're kind of on a break right now, really because of you. And she tells him that, you know, Frenchman did all of this, you know, sort of research on Chase and saw the backlash he got, and he got, and he's just really concerned about his privacy, which Chase totally understands and can completely relate to. I mean, he's the guy who went through it. And Chase tells Whitney, well, you know, yeah, it was a shit show. It was horrible, you know, the death threats, the tweets and all that. But Chase says, like, he knew what he signed up for. Like, he could deal with that. The problem was when these things were being directed at his fiance and his child. That's where he drew the line, which is, you know, he didn't even deserve it either. But I mean, they really didn't deserve it. Nobody deserves it. So once he sort of put those people on blast, put their tweets up with like their usernames and faces and stuff, like, then he said it all ended. Like, that was pretty much it. It was done. It was finished. He wasn't getting any more like hateful tweets and stuff. And Whitney's like, oh, really? Oh, that's interesting, you know? And so, you know, sitting there, and I don't mean for this to be all over the place, you know, sitting there, Whitney, on the one hand, can't help but compare where she is in life to where Chase is. You know, he's about to get married, he's got a family, she's still sitting here single, and she's wondering like what it was about their relationship that couldn't work out. On the one hand, she can see that, you know, they probably weren't well suited in the long run, but she can't quite put her finger on why they couldn't make it work, and he's able to make it work and she can't make it work with a Frenchman. You know, it's just all a mystery to her. But Chase in his confessional tells the camera, like, we didn't work out, me and Whitney, because we were long distance and we couldn't resolve that issue. I was in Wilmington, she was in Charlotte, she wouldn't move. So, and I don't really see her moving to France, you know, and he even asks Whitney, like, are you ready to move to France? Is he gonna move here? And, you know, Whitney doesn't have answers to that. Like, I don't know, you know, I don't know. And it got me thinking, like, you know, she wasn't willing to move to Wilmington because, you know, they weren't really together. Maybe she would be willing to move to France if this were a real relationship with the Frenchman, and assuming that it is, maybe that is a possibility, because Chase is saying, you know, that's the issue. This Frenchman relationship isn't going to work out if she's not willing to make a move. Like, you can't have a relationship long distance forever. And he says that's what broke them up, you know, this distance between them. And then you throw in like lack of communication, that opens the door to other people, hence the ex-girlfriend, who, by the way, did you guys catch that he said, you know, Sarah, who he was in a relationship and knew like well before Whitney, and, you know, they were just on again, off again. And, you know, on this sort of break he was with Whitney, you know, she got pregnant, and for the sake of the child, they just wanted to give it a go, and all the mom and dad time they spent together, you know, he just realized, like, this is the one, she's the one. I mean, I would venture to say she probably always was the one. So, you know, that was pretty much it. you know, Whitney wishes him well. She gives her blessing so we can all be happy for him. And I am like, these, like I always say, these reality shows are cartoons to me. I don't see Chase as this villain. I never did, really, honestly. It's just, you know, his life, real life happened during this real life reality show. You know what I mean? So I'm happy for him too. And he has a beautiful family. He wishes her well. So, you know, all's well that ends well. All right, let's finish off with Whitney and the Frenchman. She says that they had only been on a break, or the space she was giving him, it's only been a week, which isn't really that long. And she does say that he had texted her a few times. So it wasn't like this, you know, cold turkey radio silence that she kind of makes it out to be, you know. So anyway, he calls her to, you know, see how she's doing. And they have this conversation. You know, he says he just wants to call to, you know, break the ice a little bit and see how she's doing. And she says she's fine, you know, but she's confused about them and where he stands and what he wants and, you know, what's going to happen. Again, reiterates there's no point in carrying this on if he never wants to meet. And so she kind of just pointedly asks him, like, are we on or are we off? Are we doing this or are we not? And he says, well, you know, if it's up to me, then I would like for us to be on. And she's like, all right, then we're on. Great. You know, so we're gonna keep this going and see where it goes. So she asks, you know, are you open to coming to see me and visit, or me going to see you? And he says, yes, they can talk about that more. So now he's just like, so what's been going on? You know, what have you been up to since we haven't really talked? And she actually goes into the whole IVF with him. I don't know why. Like, I just, to me, it's like, that's a conversation to have with him when things are serious. Like, he doesn't need to know. I guess I'm just more of a private person. Things like that, I wouldn't have shared. I would have brought that up to him when we are in a full relationship, or if we're not in a full relationship, the topic of kids sometimes comes up when you're kind of newly dating, like, oh, do you want kids? And that's where I tell the guy, like, no, I don't want kids. And that's oftentimes a deal breaker because most people do, but, you know, better, you know, up front. And so if I were Whitney and I'm, you know, dating this guy, I mean, she says they've been dating for 6 months. You know, the topic of kids can come up and she can share with him, well, you know, I'm getting older and I did do IVF, so my eggs are frozen if ever I want them later on. Like, that's all that needs. I just don't know why she's sharing it now. Like, I feel like they have enough going on and trying to figure out with, I just feel like it's just too much information. And maybe, like I said, I'm a very private person, so maybe it's not a big deal. It's what everybody would do. But I was just like, why is she telling him this? She's telling him, like, yeah, so the reason why I was so sick, you know, when I mentioned that I wasn't feeling well is because I've been doing IVF and it's made me really, like, nauseous. And I just recently went to go get my eggs extracted. And so we did that. And, you know, now all I need are some robust sperm to, like, fertilize it, you know, like, hint, hint. And he tells her, like, oh, okay, well, you know, that's very all good and well that you are, like, taking care of your future. Like, you don't need a, what does he say? He says you don't need a filthy man like me to validate your choices. Like, what is he talking about? Like, first of all, why are you calling yourself a filthy man? I felt like it was this way of, like, deterring her, like, you don't want my filthy sperm. And then he's saying to validate your choices. Nobody's asking you to validate my choices. I'm just sharing with you what's going on. You asked. It was weird. Like, I think, maybe there's some translations being misunderstood. I don't know. So anyway, that was kind of their conversation. Later on, they have another conversation, another call, I should say, because Whitney really wants to, like, calendar this visit they're going to have. She calls him up. She tells him, you know, I've been thinking more about your visit or my visit. And really what I've thought is that it's probably best for you to come here to the States. There's less restrictions, I guess, compared to France. I don't know. I'll take her word for it. And it just might be easier with the schedule that I have going on. And so he tells her, okay, well, I'm looking at my calendar and the only week I have available is the week of the 10th. And she's looking, okay, she, like, looks at her calendar and she's like, oh, that's not a really good week for me. I'm taking this trip with my family and friends to Maine. But you're more than welcome to come if you'd like. And I felt like, he's not going to want to do that. But he agrees. He says, okay, well, you know, if it's okay with you, I'm okay with it. And that'll be fine. And I'm like, wow, why I've never met, okay, if I were Whitney, I like to put myself in her shoes. I've never met this guy before. Am I really ready to bring him, not just, like, come meet my parents, but my parents, my brother, my friends, you know, like, Didn't she kind of sort of used to date Buddy? Like my cuddle, like just like I would, and if I were him, I'd be like, that's a little much. Like, it's one thing I'm meeting you for the first time, and maybe you might want me to meet your mom, or maybe your brother, or maybe one of your friends, but the whole, and we're all, and this isn't just like come over for dinner, meet everybody. This is like, we are on a trip, we're doing excursions, we're doing hikes, we're eating every night. Like, to me, I'd be like, that's too much. No, no, no. Let's go back to the drawing board and maybe find another date. But apparently this is the only time he'll have off, I don't know, for the year. And if I were her, you know, she seems to be her own boss. She can make her own time, vacation time. If I were her, I'd be like, okay, well, let me look into going out to see you in a month. I mean, I know maybe it's time of the essence. You're so eager and anxious. I get that, but it goes both ways. If I were her, I don't need you to meet my whole family and friends. And if I were him, like it's a little too soon to introduce me to the whole posse. But that was it. He agreed. We'll see what happens. I know next week, Brother Hunter's a little like, why? And also that's exactly like, who says all of them want to hang out with this guy we don't even know? You know, when they were doing their birthday get together, river rafting, and I think it was Todd was saying, because like Heather couldn't go and Ashley couldn't go, you know, it does affect the chemistry of things. And I agree, we're bringing in a totally new person that you've never even met. You don't even know you really want to be, like, it's one thing to be like, hey, everybody, and I know I'm rambling. It's one, you know, I should stop because we can get into this next week, okay? Because I have a lot of thoughts. I was gonna say, it's one thing to like, this is my man, we're together, let's integrate him. But this is a guy I just met. We'll get into this a lot more. Okay, you guys, let me know what you think. Rate, comment, subscribe. How do we feel about the Chase meetup? We're all cool with him, right? I was always cool with him because you got to keep these things in perspective. Anyway, you guys have a good rest of your day, your evening, and I will see you soon again for something. My Big Fat Fabulous Life. All right. Bye, guys.